Awesome. Go ahead, Bhagya.
All right. All right. A Toastmaster wears many hats. So you guys already are around 6 months to 5 years of old in Toastmasters. And that's what the survey said when you guys filled in that link. And I think you must be knowing what these hats are. But before we discuss more on what these hats are, let me discuss with you for a moment that why do we need these hats? So, from the survey that you guys filled, do you want to know the popular choice awards for the most favorite roles that you guys feel so? You want to know? You want to know? Excited? Yeah. So, please drum roll. The people's choice for most favorite role goes to the prepared speech and the teamwork roles. The reason being that it gives you, space, stage time to speak. People love speaking. You are prepared for it. You know what time slot you get, and you can, creative. You can be creative around it before the meeting starts. Now, the People's Choice Award for the least favorite role goes to. I think there are no guesses for it. Ge- Can anybody take a guess? I think most of you gave that.
Vote counter.
Vote counter.
Unfortunately, most of the clubs are not even having vote counter these days. It's not a physical meeting anymore. So, but even then, and this has been periodic, like since the time Toastmaster was made and it came to India, this was the least favorite role, which is the role of grammarian. The role of grammarian, the role of R counter, the role of timer, and also the role of some bit says that general evaluator. Basically, the entire tag team was abandoned thanks to you guys. But even then, and the reason given for this was that you really cannot be creative in these roles. You don't know what to do before the meeting starts for these roles. And the reason most of you said that why these roles excite you was that you get to learn a new skill, you get to develop a new habit or a new skill basically, and most importantly you said that you get to see audience, you get to interact, you get to network. And the things that scared you guys the most was number one was that speaking in front of people, being getting judged. And most of you spoke about having the fear of making a mistake, you know committing a mistake. What if I fail? What if I do not do it perfectly? What if I underperform? Guys, let me tell you, the only place you should be scared of underperforming is if you're a participant in Squid Game. Have you guys watched it? If you're a participant there, if you do underperform, you're gone. But welcome to the world of Toastmasters. If you perform here, if you participate, if you underperform, you are not gone. You're not judged. You actually are one step ahead of yourself. So, guys, if this is the voice of you people, you are, the potential trainer, which I'm told, this could be possibly the voice of all the members that are sitting across in rest of the clubs in your cluster, whom you will be training in future. And if this is the case, let us do some things in today's session. Number one, break down these roles or these hats that you're going to wear. Break it to a level where you understand that what hurts you and how you can tackle with it. Number two, that one second. Number two that we could do in today's meeting is, remove this fear of being able to make mistakes. Remove this fear of getting failed at doing a job or taking up a role. Let's prepare ourselves to attempt it, challenge ourselves, make ourselves a better version of ourselves. And number three, to give up for a bigger goal, to make up for a meeting, to contribute to a meeting. So with this, let us go to the mission of today's session. Can everybody please mute themselves, those who are not speaking? Thank you very much. A Toastmaster who take any specific role to start a meeting, to keep it running, and to conclude on time are fundamental for meeting success. All these roles. All the participants, regardless of their role, must work together to present entertaining and dynamic meetings. It includes the roles that is your most favorite. It includes the roles that is your least favorite. It includes the role which people whom you're going to train will come up with, I do not really like to take up this role. I do not wish to participate in this role. Please give me another role. All those roles that you're going to deal in a meeting results in its meeting success, and all of us should work together to make it an entertaining and dynamic meeting. So are we ready for the ride? Are we? Guys, feel free to interact on chat, uh, because that's where I can see your responses as well. So I'm going to keep it a little engaging, so you get to answer it, and please try to keep it only on keywords. Say the keywords so we get to know that you understanding. And since today's session is online, we are connecting on Zoom, but I'm sure very soon we are going to get offline. So my agenda would cover both physical, offline and online meetings. And I'm going to talk about more of it in the next session. Next slide. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk about assigned meeting roles, which are defined by Toastmaster International, the additional roles that you could take up. Next thing we're going to deal about is what should I do as a role player, and next what should I do as a trainer. Next we're going to discuss some tips and tricks that I have. I'm going to share some resources with you, and we are going to dive right into the Q&A after that. So I would encourage all of you to, if you have any questions, please write it down and keep it ready. At the end of the session, I'm very happy to take it up. Cool? Awesome. So, yep, before moving on to the assigned roles. So I think let's get on chat right now and list down whatever roles, you'll give the keywords, giving you a hint that there are total 11 roles in a regular meeting. So please go ahead and tell. So somebody wrote timer. Yes, one role done. I'm going to give a count. Come on. Thank you, Subhash. Okay, Lalita says TTM. Thank you, Hari Prasad. R counter. T mod Rahul Jain. G came with Srikanth again. So give one word each. Sergeant Arms, awesome. Grammarian, nice. Speaker, speaker hesitant. Okay. Okay, joke master is not the assigned role. Okay, I'm talking about the assigned role right now. Last I'll come back for the extra. Ballot counter. Okay, that's not also an assigned role. Evaluators, general evaluator. All right, awesome. So we did cover a lot of them. Let's jump on to the next slide, which shows us. Thank you, Pavan Kumar, for writing all of them. Awesome. Okay, so do we see the assigned roles and additional roles slide right now? Cool. So you guys already saw most of them: prepared speaker, evaluator, table topic master. These 11 are the assigned roles, which should be there in a regular meeting. And then there are some set of additional roles that a club can take up if they wish to. Now, speaking for the assigned roles, would anybody, one person, take like switch on their mic and give me one flow of meeting? What happens? Anyone? Like flow. Who
Ma'am, can
starts the
I?
meeting? Can you please
Yes,
give your
ma'am.
name?
Ma'am, can I? Ma'am, I am Toastmaster Sai Charan.
Hey Sai Charan, come on, let's give the flow. Let's give everybody the flow.
Yes. Yes. At first, Sergeant at Arms will start the meeting.
Awesome.
After presiding officer will just invite the guest and
Great.
wish them. Once it is completed, hand out to TM body. He
Next.
go with his flow and invite speakers.
Okay.
No, not speaker. He invite grammarian. After grammarian, tag team. Timer, sorry, general evaluator.
Great,
General
great,
evaluator followed by tag team, timer,
great.
counter, and grammarian. After prepared speech session, speaker one, then speaker two, then after evaluation, then after table topics. Once the table topics are completed, evaluation session. Evaluation again, general evaluator. Then he calls evaluator one and evaluator two. Then
Great.
after general evaluator, timer, counter, grammarian. Then again, it is given to just TM body will hand over it to PO. Then after Sergeant at Arms.
Awesome. Can we have a virtual round of applause for Sai Charan? Thank you so much, man. You are so well versed with it. How old are you in Toastmaster, Sai Charan?
Ma'am, it is 1.5 years and
Great, great.
between 1.5 year and 2 years.
Awesome, awesome. But you're well versed with it. That is amazing. So, guys, this is the flow which Sai Charan just mentioned, and that's going to happen in a regular Toastmaster meeting. We're going to have three sections: prepared speeches, table topic speeches, and general evaluation. And the flows goes as mentioned in the slide. Now we'll jump right into the meeting roles that's going to happen. So, the first role that Sai Charan mentioned, Sergeant at Arms. Can anybody tell me who was the Sergeant at Arms in today's meeting? Get involved in chat.
Lasya?
That's right. Lasya started our meeting and can be considered as the sergeant arms for today's meeting. Now let's discuss what are the roles and responsibilities of a sergeant arms in a regular meeting. Now, since I'm considering both physical and virtual meetings, so try to understand that I'm going to speak about both of them. So sergeant arms is one person who is also called as the logistics manager, or in this case, the Zoom manager. Now, saying logistics manager, which means that this person is responsible from end to end requirement in terms of logistics for this meeting, by booking the room where you're going to attend the meeting, by setting up the table, chair, the books, pens, the ribbons for the awards, and if there is anything to be mentioned on the board, the role meetings and all the details, that is what the sergeant arms is responsible to do. And in case of this Zoom meeting, she was there. She was actually last time today's meeting started the meeting. She was the host. Only when she opened this meeting room, we were able to come inside. And she ensured that who gets the access for presenting and who gets to come inside the meeting, and when to lock the room, when to open back the room, and she at the end eventually will close the meeting. So this person is responsible for end to end requirement of the meeting. Again, the next point, open and closes the meeting. Now, the reason that this person has set up the meeting room for you is the reason that we give them privilege to open the meeting, open and welcome the rest of the people, because they have set it up for us, and similarly close it at the end of the meeting. That this person, if you also remember last year today, introduced me, who's the speaker or the TMOD or the session person trainer for today's meeting. So this person hands over from the beginning to the next person, introduces the PO or the TMOD, and guards the meeting. Also, in a physical meeting, this person would actually be sitting near the door and will only allow when there is nobody speaking on the stage. And in a virtual meeting, this person would be responsible for letting the person in when there is no speeches going on. So that's a sergeant arm role. Do you guys know that is sergeant arms a meeting role or a EC role?
EC role.
Both actually.
Both, yeah.
That's right. It's both the roles. So this person actually knows the background of the meeting, how it was set up, and it's also available to ensure that end-to-end meeting flow goes smoothly in the meeting as well. So this is a both role, EC as well as meeting role. Now coming to the presiding officer, can anybody tell me why there's a star mark at the presiding officer? Any guesses?
Mandatory.
Right. Somebody said that not mandatory. That is the right answer. It's an optional role. Thank you, Pawan. So a lot of clubs do opt for having a presiding officer role, but a lot of clubs do not prefer having it. And those clubs which want to have a presiding officer, it should be done by an EC officer, preferably mostly ensure that it is taken up by the president. That one head of the house, can be a grandma or a grandpa, who ensure that whosoever is welcomed into the family feels welcomed, feels comfortable, has all the requirements rendered into the family. That is the role of presiding officer. This person ensures welcomes guest members and dignitaries into the meeting, acknowledges a new member. Like suppose some person was being guest for very long and now got converted to a member. So this person, the presiding officer, will take some time to acknowledge that there's a new member into the club. The presiding officer also conducts the feedback, announcements, and the award section at the end of the meeting, and then pass it over to the TMOD. Now, few points to be taken care for presiding officer as a trainer when you give it up to presiding, the training to presiding officer is that when you are in a physical meeting, keep yourself unoccupied. Do not get engaged in calling the role players, getting the things done. Rather, spend your time interacting with the guest, interacting with members, interacting with dignitaries if they are present. Other thing that to be taken care is if there's any dignitary, there's an AD in the room, there's a CGD in the room, there's a PQT in the room, ensure that you know from where they're coming, like what's their dignitary, what is their designation. Basically prepare it beforehand, be prepared with it, and say it correctly when you welcome them before the meeting starts. I have seen a lot of presiding officer which kind of calls the person name correctly but calls a different designation. So that's not really respectable for us to do it in front of the audience. So ensure that if you're a PO, you have the right set of names with the correct designations. And another thing that a PO should take care at the end of the meeting is that there are a lot of time that meeting gets elongated. So you do not have to ensure that feedback should be done, all the announcements have to be done, and award section is mandatory, so that has to be done. But you can weigh about if I have to take feedback, is there time for it? If I have to make this announcement, is that important? So a presiding officer should be decisive to make this kind of decision throughout the meeting and present him or herself at the end of the meeting. So are we good with TMOD? Sorry, presiding officer, sorry. Are we good? Awesome. So let's move on to the main person of the meeting, which is the Toastmaster of the day. Do you guys see the Toastmaster of the day slide?
Yes, it's visible.
Awesome. Okay, so now moving on to the Toastmaster of the day, which is the main person of the meeting. Who is the host of the meeting? Who is the MC of the meeting? There are a couple of things that I have divided or I have been practicing, and I do it in 3 parts, like prior to the meeting, during the meeting, and after upon arrival or during the meeting. Now, since most of you have taken that TMOD role, and it was one of the most favorite role amongst most like for you guys, so I'm not going to emphasize on what things should be done as a meeting as this role, but I'm going to emphasize on what points you can take up when you're giving the training. So the basic things that is select a theme, confirm it with the VP education, and talk to the speaker, get their introductions, and come to the meeting, deliver it. That's the basic. But when you're a trainer, you have to ensure that the TMOD person does not just get involved with the speakers, but actually connects with VP education, general evaluator, topic master, and also speaker. Now, VP education, the reason being, confirming your role, giving up your requirements upfront, that what you need. Now, general evaluator is required so that you can coordinate with them, and also for topic master with your theme, that what you're going to present a theme. The GE and topic master can actually align their content as per your theme. For example, my club used to do a meeting that was an annual meeting called Love is in the Air. We used to have it on Valentine's Day. So when this was the theme, the meeting room was decorated very beautifully, and not just the TMOD would give his content or her content around the Valentine's Day, but even GE would break his or like the introductions given to the tag team as per Valentine's Day theme. Topic master would align their speeches or the table topic speeches as per the theme. So that used to be kind of an holistic meeting wherein an audience who's coming inside would get so much content in terms of Valentine's Day, or so much idea or so much perspective about this day in specific. So the theme was imbibed into the meeting if the TMOD ensures that he's connecting with these set of people and delivering or giving up his theme upfront. Now, the other thing prior that Toastmaster of the day should do is prepare introductions. For example, I'd like to quote what Lasya mentioned today. Although I gave them just one liner, but she went and did a little bit of her analysis or her research to bring up or to make me feel special when she welcomed me on the stage. So a TMOD should be that congenial host that ensures that everybody he or she is transitioning to feels that energy, makes them feel powerful to get on the stage. should not be very generic, should not be, try to do that kind of research and make that person feel special or energetic when you're bringing them on stage. So introductions is really must, you should work on them. And upon arrival is specific to physical meetings. When you up and also virtual meetings that arrive early, these are few points that I'm going to repeat for the rest of the roles as well. Ensure that you come up early, make yourself comfortable, network, try to know setup. And when you're in the physical meeting, back in the physical meeting, if you're a TMOD, try to sit near the lectern. And because you're going to do a lot of to and fro, coming back to the stage, sitting, coming back. So ensure that you are staged or seated near the lectern area. Now, during the meeting, during the process of the meeting, it is not just the draft that you're coming along with in the meeting, not delivering your speech, not that you have creative or curated a very interesting theme, so you just have to speak it out, but you have to ensure that the entire meeting is flowing with you. So proceed with sincerity, have that kind of energy, do not become monotonous at some point, go with that enthusiasm and be decisiveness. Now I'll emphasize a little bit on decisiveness, and especially when it comes to training perspective as well. A lot of time what happens is that a speaker is speaking, a prepared speaker, and suddenly they blank out. They find I'm not able to speak. And at that time, TMOD has to decide whether he should go, take up the stage back and let the speaker move out, or encourage that speaker, let them give a 1 or 2 second break and encourage them to come back on stage and speak. It becomes the TMOD's duty to host and also decide if there is any goof ups that happen in between. Now, again, if suppose you gave the chance to table topic master, but the table topic session, gone way ahead of time, and you still have content to speak, what will you do? You have to decide that should I cut down my content? Should I go ahead with my content and let the meeting flow out of time? So that is where the dynamism of TMOD roles come in. There are going to be a lot of places where something might not work as per your expectation, but you have to be decisive. You have to be that kind of dynamic and make decisions on the spot. So as a TMOD, you do not just learn to how to be a host, how to be a public speaker, but you learn a lot of dynamic values in between, and that is very essential for meeting success. So TMODs have to be very careful in that. Now, second point is lay out the agenda. I feel that a lot of TMODs directly jump into the content and do not give a pre-setup or a pre-context of what we are going to have today. So just there's just one liner that you should always speak, that in a regular Toastmaster, there are 3 sections: prepared speeches, general table topic speeches, and general evaluation. So that an audience, and especially a guest, get to know that what is going to happen after this. They're prepared in their mind, what's next. And I follow this timing agenda 3-3-4, 3-4-3 or 6-2-2. This is like kind of breaking my content into pieces so that I do not exceed time, because TMOD is a role which does not get timed. So do not get confused. You can actually break your content. And in terms of script content, I feel that what worked for me all the time is that one A4 sheet size piece worth of content is good enough for a TMOD. You should not have a script that goes for more than 1.5 page. That will definitely go beyond the time of the agenda. So ensure 1 page is enough, and take pauses, take time to engage with audience, but ensure your content is crisp. And then again, have appropriate transition. I'm going to give one example on this one. I attended a meeting where this person was speaking about his marriage. So in my marriage, there was Sangeet ceremony, there was Mehndi ceremony, and then my shoes got stolen by the girl's side and everything. And he gave it to prepared speakers. Next, when he came back to the speech, he started with, so after my second born, I started developing this pain on my tooth. And the audience went like, what happened between your marriage function and second born? Where did it go? Or did I miss something, like space travel, time travel? So that was the kind of confusion happened because there was no proper transition. So if you have to, you are setting up a context, and TMOD especially goes out of the meeting, brings back audience to the same point where they left. So ensure that you manage or practice your transitions, that how it's going to happen and how it's going to look to the audience. Now, next point is the 3 C's, the control, creative, and credible. Now, control, because you're the host, you have to ensure that meeting reaches its end. So have that control. Do not give it away to anybody who can, disbalance the meeting. Be creative, push yourself to not do something regular. Try to be creative in your content and be credible. Now, by credible, I mean that ensure that when you look at this topic, you know that why am I speaking on this topic? If you say that I'm going to speak today about my journey to Kashmir, if I have never been to Kashmir, how can I or why will I speak about Kashmir? No, because my friend went is not the reason that you should be speaking about the journey to Kashmir. So ensure that you are credible enough to speak on a topic which you have experienced or you want to experience. And the last point about the TMOD is, and this is especially for the physical meeting, like the offline meeting, that now we do the voting at the end of the session, and everything is done by either the vote counter or the sergeant arms or the PO. But in a general TMOD session, when it will be physical meeting, you might have to do the timer report and voting after every session. The reason being, after speech session, just think that it will be fresh in everybody's mind that what they heard right now, right? And also the timer could give the report that this person qualified and this person did not, and immediately people can vote. What happens if you do it at the end is that evaluations would be done by that time, right? And if evaluations are out for the speeches, people can know which speech was better in terms of evaluation, and they tend to get biased. So if you do not want that kind of biasing to happen, you have to conduct the voting right after that section is done. Are we good here? Or too much of gyan that's happening? Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Now, next, what we're going to jump into is the first session, which is the speaker and the table topic speaker. So both of them are quite similar. You will have a topic and you have to speak about it. For speaker role, you will choose a topic on your own and speak about it. In table topic speech, you will get a topic and you have to speak immediately on it. Now, few pointers that should be taken care for speaker is that obviously preparation is a must. For my personal rule, I would only come for a speaker role if I have rehearsed that speech at least 6 to 7 times in front of mirror with my mentor, with my friends or anything. But if that kind of preparation is not done, I'm not going to prepare this, give the speech. So do not be casual or do not be very easy going with giving speeches. It is an important thing. It's important in part of your journey of communication. So ensure that you rehearse it really well. A lot of people, what they do is they write down the speech and then they think of which project I have to do, and then they try to align the objectives with the speech that is already written. So rather than doing it, first read the project, what you're going to attempt, and then start writing the speech about it. So that will be helpful in order to also evaluate on what objectives you're giving. Diversity. Now, something that I personally have felt among speakers is that a lot of speakers are going to pick up topics which are very common. Now, speaker one is going to speak about life is beautiful. The speaker two will speak about life is amazing. The speaker three will speak about life is wonderful. There is no diversity that you're bringing in your speeches. Now, I'm going to take a pause here and answer one of the questions that somebody in the survey asked me what they want in terms of idea generation. So this person asked me that how do we have idea generation for speech, and how do we ensure that this topic could go as a speech content. Now, the trick that has worked for me is that whatever is going on around or in your mind, in your life in general, and you think that this is a piece of content, make a list of it, prepare it in your note section or in a WhatsApp chat that is only for you. Just keep on writing over there and try to collect 3 things in that. Number one is what will it what are the stories that I can get around it? And will it be worth sharing? Is it interesting? Is it having some value? Is it having some takeaway? Okay. And number two that I do is, am I credible enough to speak about this? Do I have that kind of research or analysis that I'm good enough to speak about it? And number three is, will audience benefit from it? If I'm saying or if I'm sharing something to you, is it going to benefit? Is it going to have some takeaway? So if these three parameters matches, I'm good to give it as a speech. And one good thing about selecting topics is that you can give it as speech and you can also give it as a T-mod. You can configure it in both the ways. So it's okay and it's easy to go that way. And do not think too much before thinking of speech or picking up a topic. If you find something interesting, dig it a little deeper, get some points about it, and talk to your mentor. Is it good enough or not? Okay. Coming to the next point is connecting with your evaluator. Now, most of the speakers do not do it. They just go on this meeting day and they find out that this person is my evaluator. They get the evaluation points and move ahead. But rather, if you really want genuine feedback for your speech, and if you are actually working on some aspects of your speaking skills, connect with your evaluator beforehand. Tell them that what you're trying to attempt in this speech, what are you trying to achieve, what are you trying to accomplish from this speech, whether be it a speaking skill, whether being some content that you're trying to verify, and ask your evaluator to specifically focus on that area. So you get some wholesome, even if it's not part of the report that evaluator gives, but at the offline also you can connect and discuss more on those aspects. So definitely go ahead and connect with your evaluator before meetings. Again, arrive early into the meeting, get yourself comfortable, and most importantly that I feel a lot of speakers do is they try to impress, they try to put in a lot of acts, a lot of you know uh, uh, things that happen across. But as a speaker, try to express what you feel about and not impress. Good? Are we good? I think you guys need break, huh? Okay, so awesome. That's great. So since we have some limited time, I'm going to go really fast, but I'm going to discuss that later as well. So coming to table topic speaker is pretty easy. I think as a guest, that is the first role you must have ended into, going onto the stage, taking an impromptu topic and speaking about it. Now, most common thing that I have observed people kind of get messed up in terms of table topic speaker is they do not listen to the topic carefully, right? They listen, they shake hands, or thanks the table topic master, and they stare at the screen. What should we do next? And out of awkwardness, other people ask, guys, why are you not starting? And they're like, can you repeat the topic once again? And I like, okay, you have to repeat it again. So rather than doing it, make yourself calm, comfortable, and now that you're a member, you could do it more uh, accessibly, like more freely. That make yourself calm when you are there as a table topic speaker and listen to the topic carefully. Next step to do that also I used to goof up is that as soon as I get the topic, I have to start speaking. And in middle of the table topic speech, I realized that I do not have content to go on further. I do not know what to speak next, but rather there is something called as the golden 10-second rule. When you get the topic, you do not have to start immediately. Take a 10-second pause, and that is a guideline given by TMI. It's not something that you are exploiting. Take a 10-second gap, construct the idea in your mind, articulate what you're going to say, and in 10 seconds, start speaking. If you do not speak in 10 seconds, timer will automatically start your time. So that's not an issue. But take that time to construct the idea and give a valuable speech in that time. And next point is go green. So a lot of speaker, when they like for me initially that I do not have content, so I would stop speaking and would not realize that I did not even cross 1 minute. So now that you're a speaker and now that you have a table topic option of your provision, so try to go green, speak until you at least cross the green flag. So these are the points that you can actually share with the trainees as well. And it also helps guests. It's not just for members, but also for guests. So are we good here? Shall we move on to the next role? Can anybody guess what is the next role that we are coming around?
General evaluator.
Oh my
General
God,
evaluator.
Shrikant, you could
Yeah.
see it, the future. Okay, so can anybody tell me that what are the things that you should take care before the meeting, prior to the meeting as a GE? So you could, get involved in the chats again.
Talk to
Just
tag team.
that's right.
Connect with the evaluators.
Somebody right. Santoshi also said connect with tag team, connect with evaluator. Right. You could connect with him, but that's not as important. What are the next agenda review?
Have a dry run
Have a dry run with
with the tag team, Zoom master in case of online.
that's great. That's great point. Anything else that G should take care of before meeting except for tag team?
Work with team or two.
Okay, great point. All right. So points are taken. Let's move on to the next role, which is general evaluator. Okay, so most of you guessed it correct that prior to the meeting, general evaluator should connect with the tag team, the Toastmaster of the day, and also the evaluators. Now, the reason that they should connect with Toastmaster is something which I already discussed. Ensure that meeting agenda, they know who are the role players, they know, and brief about the theme. Now, the reason why they should meet the tag team is not just to inform that, hey, you are the timer, you're the grammarian, and you're the R counter, but rather to ensure that they are mentored. Now, when I say mentored, it does not mean that they have to be mentored by their actual mentors, but general evaluator is the person who should brief them and who should also mentor them about this role. If they're an experienced Toastmaster to know the roles, you could have a casual conversation, a checklist kind of thing, that what has to be done, what not has to be done. So the person who's responsible for mentoring the tag, all the three, timer, R counter, grammarian, is the general evaluator. So ensure if you're a GE, you do that. And to evaluators, to tell them that who's their speaker, what is the speech, they're attempting, and what are the objectives. So that GE, while is interacting with these set of role players. The next thing that I was hoping you must say is G also ensures to mark or write the introductions for these people. Now, G is going to be the person who will introduce the timer, R counter, and grammarian, right? So, and also the evaluators in the reporting section. So they should know how they're going to transition and welcome these the four set of people. So as mentioned for Toastmaster of the day, even they should write and give a nice welcoming note to the tag team as well. And the third thing is checklist, which is something that I do all the time. This is something I do on the basis of feedback that the team receives or the club receives in the previous meeting. Now, for example, in the previous meetings, feedback was that the meeting is going very long. We have to work upon it. Or somebody says that table topic section is not taken properly, not conducted properly. We only get 1 or 2 slots in the entire meeting. So these are the feedback of previous meeting. As a G, I will ensure that is this point rendered in this meeting. This is quite possible when you are doing it in your own club. It's quite difficult if you take up this GE role in another club. But I always feel that you should talk to the president or the role players of the club that you're going into and get some points if there's something your team is trying to achieve in this meeting. So you have some pre-points, you have some checklist points to ensure that these things are taken care by the club or not. So, and have your personal checklist also, that what all things you have to ensure that meeting is in place. So checklist is something that I follow. Now, upon arrival, again, arrive early. You are one of the most important meeting role. G should arrive early, and provide materials to the team is something that we do in an offline meeting. There's a grammarian page or a grammarian book that my home club used to follow. Our counter book, timer book, pens, and other facilities that have to be available with the tag team. So G should be there before the meeting time and ensure that the tag team is having these resources. And even in the online meeting, they should ensure that they have the timer flags and the screen or the site which they should be sharing for timing devices as a timing device. And the G, uh, different to what the Toastmaster of the day, the Toastmaster, they should sit in the near the lectern, but the general evaluator should sit at the back, so they have a complete view of the meeting room, what's going around, if there's some disturbing element, if there was proper transition that happened. So G should be somebody who should be sitting at the back of the meeting. Now during the meeting course, take notes diligently, divide and rule. Now this is something that I follow. What happens with me is that I have so many points to scribble down for each role, and in that case, when it comes to delivering the speech, I get so confused and I kind of end up taking a lot of time because I have to speak everything. But rather, what I started practicing is I started dividing my page with positives and areas of improvement, and within that also I would tick only the points that I feel is important to be spoken. If there are a lot of points, I can connect with that role player offline, but in the meeting time for my report, I'll pick up only one or two priority points that has to be spoken for the role player. Have to be timed, right? A lot of community clubs, I feel, do not time the G, and the G report goes really, really long. But the general G timings are 3 to 5 minutes. So even if you're a community club or new club, try to have this kind of timing so that even G speaks in a timely manner. It doesn't go beyond the times. Now, the report that you are preparing, it should be irrespective of if the role players are your friends or anything. You have to give a positive, honest, and supportive feedback. It's not that you have to keep on buttering and putting jam on all the role players. It's okay to give honest feedback, but give it in a supportive or an encouraging way. So ensure that you find critical points, but give it in a positive manner. Now, acknowledgements. This is something kind of gets missed, generally missed by a G, that you can actually critically analyze and see if there was any special mentions. Somebody taking up a role at the end, like just before the meeting started, somebody backed out and someone volunteered to take the meeting role. So this becomes a special mention. You, as a G, you can acknowledge this person. If there are any first timers in the meeting, taking the role for the first time, so this gives a lot of boost and encouragement to the people who are taking it. Even for positive things that happened in the meeting, G should make a note of this and ensure, give some extra points when they're giving their reports. And report during report means that even the G report is a report in its own. So you should have a proper structure to it. Have an introduction to your speech, to your report, have a body, and also try to conclude it in a generic way. You can conclude, these are the great things that happened in the meeting. We were able to we are going to conclude it around in this correct time, and with these things, if we follow, our club is going the next level. So even in your G report, try to have that intro, body, and conclusion structure. All right, so this is all for the G role. Next, we're going to tackle the team that you entirely abandoned, the tag team, which was unfortunately the least favorite of all. Yet there is so much learning curve. There is so much to explore in these roles, and there is so much that you can actually get creative with these roles. Now, something I would like to mention that I have observed really for grammarian role, and that's very recent. With all these new advent that is coming, I'm sure you must be hearing, if you are on social media and something, there are a lot of talks about mental health and the positive of body positivity that's happening around. There's also one aspect that I feel is being talked about is the role of English in our lives. Have you guys been involved in something like that? Right? Yeah, I see some smiling faces there. So the idea of English, or basically any language, is to put an idea or a concept in your mind that what you are trying to say. English is not the primary language for most of us, for all of us, I think. If all of us are from India. It's not our primary language, and to be fluent and exceptional in this language is a a very high expectation, I would say. And I used to be scared of English a lot. I would never take up grammarian role. Even that is one of my least favorite roles. But that should not be a reason for you to not pick it up, or not to challenge yourself to take that role. You do not have to make sure that everybody who's speaking have that tenses, have that articles, have speaking fluently, do not have mother tongue influence. That's very normal and natural to have. So the emphasis of grammarian role is not to point out the mistakes or the things that you're not good in English or in any language, but only to support like the things that you could do better in a very generic way, and if you're able to convey your message properly. If you feel that there's a gap in that, that's where you have to point it out, that I couldn't even understand what you were trying to say, and that's rarely which will happen. So if you're able to understand that what the person is saying, the person is able to communicate, and that's the agenda, that's the point of that person speaking on stage, and it's done. So do not emphasize yourself too much on grammarian role, that I'm not good in it. It's not the case. Just break down your language, use simple sentences, and try to convey what you're trying to say. You do not have to use amazing words and great dictionary and great vocabulary. That's not the concept in Toastmaster at all, and nobody's going to judge you for that. So challenge yourself to take this role and do it with whatever English you know. No hard and fast rule. Okay. So the rules that grammarian should take care of is have to introduce a word of the day and idiom of the day. It is recommended to be in line with the theme, whatever is, for example, when I said love is in there, so have a word of the day that aligns with love, idiom of the day that goes with love. So that people, since they are hearing so much, if they speak in table topic speech, they are most likely to use those words because that topic or that words are going around very commonly. Then second thing is make record of it, record of all the good usages and all the records of not so good usages, areas of improvement. And if possible, if you find some not so good usages, areas of improvement, try to find that what is the correct way of doing it, so that you can give the correct usage as well. So if you find that this word should not have been used, what word should you recommend, or what would be the replacement of it? So give the correct usages as well. Next is R counter. So I think you know what the R counter is. It counts the crutch, phase, filler words, so well. So for this role also, people have complained that they really cannot be creative. But I'll tell you one scenario and I'll leave the rest to you. So this person who was taking R counter role in one of the meetings I attended, they started noting down how many R's and ums everybody used, but they also started noting down where they used the R's and For example, they told me that Bhagyashree, for every time you're transitioning to a new statement, you will either use so or you'll use and. That's your favorite crutch word. So I was like, I never noticed that this is happen. So I said the so again the same way. So he's like, yeah, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Rather than doing it, you stop your sentence, take a breath, and then move on to the next sentence instead of saying so many times. I thought that was really helpful. So similar ways, you could actually also find different ways of getting creative with R counter. Dig a little deeper and find how can you help with this data that you have, the number of R's, ums, and so's, with how you can give it back to the speaker. So this is one creative way of doing R counter. Now timer, I know, it's just showing up a flag. It is a role that juggles with so many things. You have to listen, you have to keep track of your stopwatch, you have to show the flag as well. But it is a role that manages a lot of your patience. It helps you develop that kind of patience. So I remember one incident for this one. There was a club contest that was going on, and the timer kind of backed out. There was no timer in the meeting. And all the dignitaries, CJ and everybody were great officers that have come to the meeting. And at that time, even the district officer, have come to the meeting. And since no timer was there, the district director himself got up from his desk and said that, okay, I volunteer to be the timer. So the host were like, no, sir, it's fine. We'll take it up. Like, if nobody's pointing out, which means they clearly do not want to take the timer role, which is so important in such a contest. If I'm not able to lead it from front, what will the others learn? So that moment kind of edged in my heart for so long that I thought that I'm never going to shy away from taking up even the smallest role, or even the role that does not matter. It's going to contribute for a better good. So the roles we take either help us develop something, or it contributes to a bigger thing. And that decision and that choice is in our hand. So if you are not liking the timer role today, how will you be able to convince the people you're going to train later on to take up a timer role? So I know there's no much creativity, but every role is important in a meeting success. Are we good here? Shall we go on to the next section? You guys need break? Water break? Oh, awesome. You guys are great. So many then. All right. So next section, we are going to discuss about the evaluation. So I know a lot of you said that you like evaluating, judging. Why not? Let's judge somebody. Why should we sit idle? But that's not the perspective of what we do in Toastmasters. Yeah, I was joking about judging part. You guys evaluate only. So there are two kind of evaluators, and one question that dealt in the survey was, is offline evaluation helpful? Right? So most of you said that yes, it is helpful, but close to 30% of you said that we have never even tried it. We don't even know what an offline evaluation is. So let me speak about speech evaluation and we'll jump into offline evaluation. Now, speech evaluator is the person who evaluates the prepared speaker. Prepared speaker comes with a speech and they have one objective. They are attempting a level or a pathway from a pathway, and then you have to evaluate on the basis of that objectives. So as a speech evaluator, ensure that you know what speech objectives are, what are the level they're attempting, and you have prepared your points according to that speech, in line with that speech objectives. During the speech, whenever it's happening, be very careful and listen patiently. There's a lot of places where you'll miss a point which speaker is saying, but that's not an issue. Focus on the points that you are able to hear properly and articulate or record your evaluations accordingly. The most important point, when you evaluate, you're not evaluating to tell that person that what they're not good at, what they need to improve upon, but you are evaluating that person to take their speech journey to one next level. You should evaluate to motivate that they should be able to come back to the speaking platform next time. So always try to give an evaluation that helps them in their speaking journey. So now coming to the offline evaluator, so for today's meeting, I had a mentor for this speech, and I also have an offline evaluator because I'm not going to get feedback by the end of this meeting as a general evaluator by anyone. So I have called upon my friend who's sitting in the meeting room right now and who's recording my observations throughout the meeting, and I'm going to connect with this person offline after my meeting hours to know that what went right and what I should be improving upon. So this is the role of offline evaluator. A lot of roles, like say for general evaluator itself, they will not get evaluation by the end of the meeting, right? But if they have an offline evaluator, they can connect with them and get to know the feedback after the meeting. So if you're taking a role specifically, if you won't get the evaluation of it, please make sure that you have an offline evaluator with whom you can connect and take feedback later on as well. So this is a very good practice, and I encourage you to encourage your trainees to also have offline evaluators. Cool. Let's get to the last section. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Next is the table topic master. Ooh, So let me ask. So what are the things that you think table topic master should take care of before the meeting, during the meeting? Let's
Align,
get on chat or speak.
align with the theme.
Align with the theme. Great point, Shrikant.
He should be prepared with questions.
Should be prepared with questions. Okay.
Should tell about the
Something
importance of
aligned
this
with the theme.
segment.
Okay. Importance of table topic speech.
Make sure to involve guests as well in the meeting, because it's
Okay.
a fun, it's an interesting session. So, so you can involve guests as well.
Okay. Great points.
Encourage the speaker, like encourage the person who has come on the stage to at least like try for at least giving a impromptu speech for a minute at least.
Okay. That's great
Give
point.
a chance to some Toastmaster in first actually, so other people will take example and guest can come and say something. And the topic should be easy to speak actually, not so complex. They can
All
understand.
right. That's right. Great point. All right. So moving to the table
The
topic
topic
master.
can be, sorry.
Right. Let's get into it and we'll take more
please
in
go
the question answer round. All right. So the table topic master should be coming up with some set of preparation. A few of you already mentioned it, that they should have a brief introduction and explain rules. So have an introduction, what you're going to, what is this section about, its importance, and explain the rules, that what are the timings and how will I call upon and how you're going to transition. So a lot of guests will also participate in this section, so they should know about the rules and introduction about the importance of this section. Second thing, Shrikant already mentioned that you have to ensure that it aligns with the theme. The reason we want it to be aligned with the theme is that when they speak up, if it is around the theme, the topics are around the theme, they would be having more ideas about it because they heard so much. They would think about their experience on the same topic. So it's more likely that they could speak more if it is aligned to the theme. Now, coming to equality. Now, by equality, I mean, if you're a table topic master, you have to ensure that both guest and member get space in the table topic section. So what we generally do is 40-60%. 40% of guests and 60% of members is a good percent. But according to the number of people you're going to call, you can change that perception, the percentage. Priority. Now, what happens in a table topic section is if you call the first speaker to be guest, they would kind of jumble a lot with what has to be spoken, how it is to be done, what are the timings. There is a chance that these all goof ups might happen, and the rest of the people who are coming will, if they were willing to raise their hand, they will just come down. So rather prioritize who's going to come. The first person should always be a member, so they have the idea what is to be done in this section, and they give the same idea to the rest of the people also. So then guests start feeling a little confident, okay, that I can speak up. So always prioritize, call the first person as member, the rest can be member or guest, anybody. Have interesting topics, don't bring up something that you've heard so much and already been spoken about. Motivate the audience. A lot of time table topic master find out that people stop raising their hand in between, so you have to encourage them. You should bring them onto the stage, that guys, come on, I'm going to give you an easy topic and this is going to be interesting one. So people should participate. So keep on motivating, keep up their energies high, and you have to ensure that timing is maintained. And at the end, again, timer report and voting needs to be done, so that GE does not give the evaluation at the end. Now, this was about all the assigned roles. I'm going to quickly brief about the additional roles. So these are the list of additional roles a lot of club prefer having: listener, vote counter, introducer, joke master, talent of the day, invocator, or helper. Helper was one of the role that my club devised, and that was to assist the R counter and timer, because R counter and timer were generally given in my club to the guest. So there would be a helper role to help them. But rest, the listener role was something, like a quiz master. They will listen to the entire session and at the end keep a small quiz kind of a thing to check or that everybody, was attentive throughout the meeting. So have a little kind of quiz at the end. Vote counter counter, ballot counter, they will collect the votes. Introducer was somebody, I have never seen this person performing, but I've seen a lot of places where this role was included. This person would give the introduction. Joke master would bring a joke of the day, and talent of the day would perform or do something talented. So these are options that you could go for the uh, additional roles in a meeting. Now quickly switching to the tips. Oh, nice. How's this coming? Cool. This is going to be the last thing that is coming from me. As a trainer, you need to identify the vibe of the club wherever you are going. Is the club forming? Is the club storming? Is the club norming? Or is that club performing? Forming means, is the club new? If the club is new, you would definitely be requiring a lot of preparation in terms of giving training and giving them basic details of what a role does, not in detail what we discussed today, because a lot of things will go like for them, they don't know. So ensure that you give them with the basic of the roles. And right, for the storming club, which is something that now the club is on tracks, it is excited now, they are ready to take up roles, but they do not know what directions to it, what are the rules to it, where they should stick it. So that is a storming club, and they might require a little bit of in-depth of each role. A norming club is a one which has reached in its potential, and but it's going on a monotonous, or in a normal phase, but that's where you can give them creative ideas to perform roles. And performing club is a one which does good job, is one of the established clubs, so you might require to just brief them up with the roles and not give so much of detail. So identify whichever club you're giving training in and accordingly prepare your content. Second most important thing is lead from the front. If you are giving them so much of gyan, you have to also ensure that you are capable of doing that roles. Now I'm not saying that you have to be perfect in these roles, whatever we discussed, but attempt, you should be able to attempt that, you should be able to do that role. Only then you will be able to justify that why you should take up this role. Okay. And the third point is online and offline training. Now you have to also curate your content if the club is going to get offline, and if it's going to continue as online. Now 3-tier mentoring is really important, though you could get mentored from your VP education, your own mentor, and your offline mentor. The couple of things that needs to be taken care is arrive early, have a checklist for your role, prepare well for your introductions, have a formal conduct, don't go very casual and friendly throughout the meeting, have it in your control and have it formally. Once you go back to the meeting room, have firm handshake that gives a very confident appearance in front of the audience. And most importantly, have a smile on your face that relieves a lot of nervousness and gives you confidence and happiness to be on this stage. So guys, with this slide, I wish you the best of luck in whatever trainings you're going to go in future. I'll be available for any kind of help you need offline. I'm just a chat or a mail away. But with this, we come to the end of the session that I have, and I know I'm really sorry. It's already up, but Lasya, I'm giving it back to you. If we are okay to take up few questions, I'm happy to. If not, we are good to conclude the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhagyashree, for this amazing session. I feel so charged up, and I think I learned where am I going wrong while I'm playing this role. It is actually helping me learn. With that being said, all those who have questions can stay back. I understand it's a working day and we conducted this on a working day. If you have anything else that needs your immediate attention, you can go. With that being said, I would like to acknowledge the effort of our timer who tried to put everything together and indicating the trainer and ensuring the trainer rushes at the right time. And thank you, timer, for doing this job so meticulously. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. Also, thank you, Toastmaster Bhagyashree, for taking time from your busy schedule, although we almost pestered you to come take this session on a weekday. Despite having a lot of commitments, you made it today. We are so thankful to you. All those who have questions can stay back. Bhagyashree is very patient. She will answer. If she's not able to answer, then you can text her. We will take questions for another 5 minutes and end the session, considering the fact that it's a working day. Well, over to in just a second. I also missed out on another point. If I don't say this, I think Manish will screw my life. Okay, we have also taken the attendance of people who are going to, who were a part of this session. So based on which, like we informed, this is going to be a certification session. We will inform you more about this offline. And in the next session, we expect one of you to recap this entire learning for 5 minutes. So that's where we know if you have really understood or not. So that will be a task for next session. With that being said, we will also be rolling out the feedback form both in the Zoom chat and also in the WhatsApp group. You can give us feedback. We will learn what we could do better going forward. Well, with that being said, I am done and we can officially call it a day. But Bhagyashree is here for next 5 minutes to answer your questions. Over to you, Bhagyashree.
Thanks, Lasya. I'm good to take up any questions, any queries, concerns if you guys have right now. Please feel free to switch on camera or those who are staying back.
Have a doubt.
Yes, Manish.
Yeah, in your chat box, in the generally valid, sorry, I mean in the PPT, in the generally validator slide, there was a point called divide and something was mentioned.
Rule.
Like this, yeah,
Divide and rule.
Yeah, could you just explain that once again? That once.
Awesome. I could do it again. So the problem with me as a general evaluator is, and I read it in the survey sheet as well, when people are taking general evaluator, they kind of shy away because there is too much to note down. There's too much to consider, and that too from the beginning of the meeting. Even when you're not called on the stage and introduced to everyone, you have to start making your points from there. When did the meeting start? Did it start sharp at 7:30? So that is something is very tedious for a GE to do, because there are a lot of things that they're handling. They have to go on stage, then introduce 3 set of people, even make notes of them when they are introducing. So it becomes quite hectic for a general evaluator. So this is a rule that I devised for myself, is divide and rule. What I do as a GE is, first of all, divide my sheet into 2 parts: positives and areas of improvement, and that would go role by role. So whosoever is coming, I'll start writing the positives, and if there are any areas of improvement. Now, the next page I would dedicate it specifically to the meeting agenda, like overall meeting. If all the role players came on time, if the meeting started on time, was there a formal conduct, was there any in between disturbance that was happening, was the meeting conduct formal or not. So that was my second page. Now on the first page also, that I have divided my sheet into 2 parts, but how would I rule it is, I always actually keep 2 things with me. One is my pen and one is my pencil. So with my pen, I'll record all the observation, but as soon as that section is done, I know that this person is not going to come around again. For example, a speaker. One speaker is done, their role is done. But for a TMOD, will come and back, come and go, come and go. So for those roles, I'll use my pencil and I'll tick the point that I find 1 or 2 points max that is very crucial to say it in the meeting. If there are other points, I can reach out to that person after the meeting. But what I have to speak in the meeting time is going to be just 1 or 2 points, not more than that, because I have to also speak in my time limit. So that is my divide and rule. Thanks, Manish, for the question.
Bhagyashree, just a question.
Yeah.
Like I've seen in addiction rules, there's a role of jokes master. What is it? Because I haven't heard about it before in any meeting.
Okay. So joke master is the person who would be assigned, and that's pretty straightforward role. They would have to be prepared with one joke and have to deliver it at the end of the meeting. That's it. I've just attended one meeting which had joke master, and it was as simple, and the joke was also not very funny. So I think that's the reason my club didn't proceed with that role any further.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I think, sorry to interrupt. I was just saying that I think it's at the beginning of the meeting, it's more of an icebreaker kind of thing, wherein the joke master has to come and say the joke, so that to make the environment a bit lighter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that depends on how meeting agenda is set. If the club feels like that should be done in the beginning of the meeting, that's also fine, which also works as a great icebreaker. Point noted, Jatin. Thank you.
Bhagyashree, I have a query.
Yeah, Pawan. Hey, Pawan.
Hi. A couple of clubs usually they tweak the meeting structure a little bit. For example, after the GE section, they directly hand over the stage to presiding officer, or the VP usually asks the general evaluator before the meeting to find the tag team by himself or herself. So they usually tweak this meeting structure a little bit. So the structure that we usually follow, is it a standard structure that the TI suggests, or is it okay to tweak a little bit as per the club requirements?
That's right. So what TMI suggests is for a regular Toastmaster meeting, if a club conducts a regular Toastmaster meeting, it should have 3 sections: prepared speech, table topics, and general evaluation. But the flow for it is something that club can actually tweak on their basis. Switching it from G to PO, that also might be the reason, because they are running out of time, or there are no TMOD content left. So that is fine to tweak it. And a lot of clubs have something called as marathons. They will have just speakers and evaluators and no general evaluation altogether. There are a lot of clubs that do not have table topic sections because they have so many speakers on that meeting day. So it is completely fine as long as you have most of the meetings as regular meeting and couple of meeting which are tweaked ones. But the flow of the meeting can be discussed within the team and done as per your wish. But most probably they should have these 3 sections. That's it. That's what TI suggests.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right.
I just wanted to share a point over here.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a point just mentioned, like sometimes after the general evaluator, they hand it over to the team order, right? So on that point, if we all know, like the general evaluator actually evaluates all of the role players. So if in case general evaluator hands it over to the team mod in the last, and if a team mod completes his content in the last, assuming it's his specific purpose, he would actually lack the evaluating point on it. So it's a point like generally just having a flow of general evaluator to PO is the best solution, because the team mod gets evaluated completely by the general evaluator at that time. So that is a point I wanted to share.
That's absolutely a fair point. Totally agreed.
Bhagyashree, Pawan here.
Hey, Pawan.
Yeah, hi. So just one clarification here. So does the general evaluator evaluate the evaluators?
They do, right?
Okay.
Why is Lasya saying no?
They shouldn't is what my mentors say, and I teach my mentees the same thing, because the evaluator will lose his credibility, and he's the whole reason there to evaluate someone. If only general evaluator wants to give feedback, he can do that offline, but it is not recommended to give a feedback to an evaluator in the meeting.
That's also a new point that I'm hearing. But generally in the clubs that I've been, and that's a practice that we do evaluate the evaluator. General evaluator does that. But it's a great point of discussion with your mentors if you should actually take it, or with a club in general, if you could or if you should do it or not. And if you're doing it, what you might do is, take up points which evaluator might have missed for the speaker. That is one thing you could do for evaluators if you don't want to evaluate the evaluators completely. But as far as my experience goes, I've seen the clubs evaluating the evaluators, and that was also done in an encouraging way. But this is a new point that I'm hearing, so definitely a point to think about what you should do in future. Thanks for raising it, Pawan. Yeah, Manish.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you so much, Lasya and Bhagya.
We have a question from Rahul, and this will be the last question.
Yes. I'm sorry, Rahul, your voice is not audible. Is it only for me?
Audible now?
Yeah, now it is. Please go ahead.
Perspective, like in one of the meetings which I attended in Kolkata, which is in district of
I'm really sorry, you're breaking
Rahul,
up.
I think your voice is breaking. I am also.
Sorry.
Could you chat it? Yeah.
I'll share it. I'm actually driving, so I will chat it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Saicharan, you mentioned can evaluator evaluate T-mod. Is that correct? Can evaluator evaluate T-mod? So general evaluator evaluates the T-mod. Speech evaluator will specifically evaluate the respective speakers that they have. Like speaker 1 will be evaluated by evaluator 1 and so on. But evaluator will not go around that and start evaluating T-mod or other role players. General evaluator for sure will be evaluating the T-mod of the day. He meant G. No worries. All right, I think this answers.
Bhagishri, I have a last question, if you don't mind. This is
Yeah.
Ujjwala.
Hi, hey Ujjwala.
So,
Yeah.
yes. So for a team mod, it is required that they choose a topic or a theme for the meeting. So what if I plan for not a theme, but making a perfect meeting, like showing the members that the meeting is done in this order. Of course, it will take less time than the usual time, and it wouldn't be that interesting, but it would make sure that people know the correct flow of the meeting.
Right. So in that case, if you do not want to choose a theme, but just go ahead with transitioning to the next set of roles and giving up the rules that what gets applied, then you don't really call it a T mod. You call it an MC or, the general, what do we call it apart from MC?
EMCC or EMECC.
Or moderator,
Not moderator, like we can call it MC. So T-mod of the day, Toastmaster of the day will be called if you're coming with a theme and incorporating all the transitions with it. If you're not doing it with a theme and just want to, tell everybody what are the rules that MC should follow. Anchor, that was the word I was looking for. So you could be an MC or an anchor. So there's no theme for the meeting today, but Ujjwala is the MC for today and she's going to conduct the rest of the session. That's how we'll introduce.
One more question is, you mentioned in the beginning that if a dignitary joins in the meeting, you have to, acknowledge them, acknowledge their presence. So what if someone joins in between, and how do you actually break the flow of the meeting and acknowledge them? Or is it important to acknowledge the dignitaries in the meeting?
So the acknowledgement is done by the presiding officer, and that happens in the beginning of the meeting. If there's a dignitary who happens to join in between, we do not break the flow of the meeting in between. We rather do that acknowledgement at the end of the meeting when the command is given back to the presiding officer. And if not, if PO also misses that this person joined, and it's fine to completely not go with it, but rather breaking in between. So everything acknowledgement that happens in the beginning of the meeting stays, but after that, PO should not interrupt and do any kind of announcement, engagement, or acknowledgement in between.
All right, thank you so much.
Are we good, Lasya, or are there any other questions?
Rahul, if you have any question, I think ping Bhagyashree. In the interest of time, we will call it a day. So thank you everyone for joining this session, and I hope you all have had good time, enjoyed, and learned something. We look forward for you to go give sessions and yes, train more people. And justify training the trainer. And also thank you, Bhagyashree, for taking out time and coming.
Thank you so much, Lasya. It was great meeting you all. You guys have been amazing audience. Woo-hoo.
And this event wouldn't have been possible without the efforts of Punish, who also got fever while planning this entire thing. So yeah, that was something informal. I just said it. Wait, I will stop the recording and crack more jokes.
Okay.